Hey guys, I'm excited to finally announce version 2.0 of my iOS MIDI controller app called Ribbon. So if you're not familiar, check out the original video I made announcing the app. But just as a quick recap, if you're not familiar, Ribbon is an 8-channel MIDI controller that sends out CC or continuous controller signals. And what's unique about Ribbon is that you're able to loop and record your gestures. So for example, you can draw a slow shape like this, and as soon as you let go, it starts looping. So before I get into the features, I just wanted to sincerely thank everyone for trying the app and giving me lots of great features, suggestions, and feedback. The response has been overwhelming. I expected to get maybe a handful of downloads and a few people using it here and there, but there was hundreds of people using it, lots of great feedback. Nick and DivKid Ben did a Sonic State podcast. They featured the app in there, which was really awesome to see. Being someone who's followed Nick my whole life, it's kind of weird to hear him say my name.
Nebojsa Petrovic. It's called Ribbon.
Frickin' Richard Devine on Instagram left a comment which made my day. The app made it to number 47 on the top paid music apps at some point. Obviously now it went all the way down, but that was kind of a big deal for me. So yeah, just really thank you for all the feedback and support. It's been really awesome. All right, so I'm just going to walk you through the app and go over some of the new features. Off the bat, you'll notice that everything looks very similar as it did before, minus some few cosmetic changes around. So let's jump into the configuration menu here on the top left. You'll notice it looks very similar as it did before. You still have your channel and CC controls for each ribbon. But one new thing you'll notice here is that you have the ability to toggle looping on a per ribbon basis. And this was one of the main requested features, whereas previously you could just toggle globally all loop or all not loop. The other thing you'll notice is that when you tap menu again, there's a second menu box now. And now you have the ability to name your ribbons. So this was another feature that was very popular. So for example, if I go to my first ribbon here, I can name this Cutoff. You'll notice that the title Cutoff is not written on the ribbon. And you'll notice these little dots on the ribbons. These indicate which ribbons are looping and which are not. So for example, the ones with the dots will loop, and the ones without dots are just static controllers. The other thing you can do is you can turn off the dots and the titles without having to change the settings. You can go into the settings now and turn off the dots and turn off the names separately. And this brings you back to the super minimal original ribbon view. On the iPad, since we have a bigger screen, I've combined those into just one menu page. And here again, you have channel, CC, the ability to toggle looping, and the ability to name your ribbons. And then if you go back, you see cutoff resonance, so it's nice and clear, and you have the little dots here indicating which are looping, which are not. And again, if you don't like this Chrome, you can just turn off the dots if you don't want the dots, or you can turn off the names, and then you're back into the minimal setup here. So the other new feature is the ability to switch presets and save different configurations. Now you can do that from the settings menu here. You see there's 3 different presets at the top, and each has a little fruit, an apple, an orange, and a pear. So you just quickly switch to the preset you want, so preset 3, and then everything you do now while you're in this preset will get saved to that preset. So I can change different MIDI CC parameters, hello, and then if I switch to my original preset, you'll see I'm back to my cutoff resonance, and if I switch to the third one, you could see my hello preset. The other thing you'll notice at the top here, instead of the word ribbon, you now have these plus and minus buttons. So previously you were only able to select between 2, 4, and 8 ribbons as kind of static presets. Now you can choose anywhere from 1 to 8 ribbons, and you can quickly do that in real time by pressing these minus and plus buttons. So you can see I can choose everything down to 1 ribbon, or I can start adding more ribbons. So if I just need 3, I can add 3, I can add more, and then you can go up to 8. So you can have completely different styles. So here I have 4 red ones. Here I have some multicolored 3, and I can switch to my last preset with 2. So one other cool feature is now you can do landscape mode on the iPad. So if I rotate my device, you can see that the ribbons are now aligned properly and everything is oriented in the orientation here. So another cool feature is now you can run the app in the background. So previously, if you minimize the app or switch to a different app or locked your iPhone, the looping would kind of stop until you came back. But now the looping will be preserved, so you can switch to different apps or minimize the app, and the looping and ribbon will still be there. And this is available for both devices. All right, moving on. If you go to the settings here, you'll notice it looks a little bit different than before. Again, you have the new preset settings. You have the toggling of the name and the loop dots. You have toggling of the background mode, and you'll notice the MIDI menu has been moved to a sub menu here. And what's cool now is that I don't have any devices connected, but now you can connect multiple different MIDI outputs at the same time. And you'll also notice there's this new Bluetooth button. So previously, if you wanted to pair with a Bluetooth MIDI device, you'd have to use another app first, like GarageBand or something, and go there, switch the Bluetooth on, and then switch back here and then select Bluetooth. But now the Bluetooth is available straight inside here. So another cool feature added is the ability to enter full screen mode, or what I like to call focus mode. So if you're in a live setting and you want to remove these buttons at the top so you don't accidentally switch anything off or engage any menus, in the settings here, there's a full screen mode now. It gives you a little prompt telling you that once you enter full screen mode, the only way to exit is to shake the device because all the buttons will be gone. So when you hit continue, you can see now it's full screen. All you see is ribbons and nothing else. And then you can just focus on performing if you want to. And then to exit, obviously you just shake your device and the menus reappear at the top. And finally, the other small thing, which I can't really demo here, but now both apps work on iOS 10. All right, so that wraps up the feature list. I'm gonna do a few more demos at the end of the video so you can get a flavor for how you can use this with different gear. One small favor I want to ask you guys is please give a 5-star review on the Apple App Store if you like the app, obviously. And if you don't, and if you hate it, or if you have issues with it, instead of giving a bad review, please contact me directly. I'm trying to be super responsive and answer all your questions. And you can get that in the settings here. There's a contact button, which will open the Facebook page. And if not, I think it's facebook.com/ribbonapp, all one word. So a few of you asked me what kind of MIDI interface I use. So I'm going to show you 3 different ways you can connect Ribbon to something like a Digitakt. All right, so the first interface I have is a standard MIDI DIN interface. This one is the iConnect MIDI 1 by iConnectivity. And basically you just get a lightning cable on one side and then your standard MIDI in-out jacks on the other side. So the way you would set up something like this is pretty simple. You just plug it into your phone and then plug in the MIDI input in the back of your device here. And then if you go to the Ribbon MIDI settings, you should see it appear. So I have iConnect MIDI 1 here. So for example, now if I hit my kick, I can tune it, bit reduction. So if your device has a USB port in the back, chances are you can probably connect directly via USB without going through the standard MIDI DIN. So a useful accessory for that for the iOS world is this little camera connection kit, I believe. So what you would do there is just connect a standard USB A to B cable on one end to the Lightning, and then the other side you have a B which goes in the Digitakt directly. And then once those two are connected, again, we just connect our Lightning side to the iPhone here. And now if I go to my MIDI settings in Ribbon, you can see Digitakt Out 1 is displayed here. So I'm just going to select that. And again, we should be good to go. And finally, we have a Bluetooth MIDI interface by Yamaha, the MD-BT01, which is this little guy here. This is a super handy little device, super compact. Everything is kind of built into this little jack here, and it's almost magic when you plug it in to see it work. But effectively, it's got standard MIDI DIN connectors on the back and nothing else. You just connect directly via Bluetooth. So all you have to do is plug that into the back here. And once those are connected, you want to go to your Ribbon settings. So first you have to go to the Bluetooth menu because you have to pair the two devices together. So you just tap on this and like that, it's connected. Then you want to make sure that you actually assigned Bluetooth as your MIDI output. So you go to your MIDI settings, Bluetooth should appear here. So just tap that. And again, we should be good to go here. So one cool thing you can do with background mode now is control other iOS apps with Ribbon in the background. So here in the background, I have the Moog Model 15 modular synth, as well as the Arturia i-SEM running here. And in Ribbon, what I'm going to do is if I go to my MIDI settings, you can see that Model 15 and i-SEM appear. And now that you have the ability to select more than one output, I can just select them both. And in the settings of the i-SEM, I've configured it to receive on MIDI channel 2, and Model 15 will receive on MIDI channel 1. So my Ribbon configurations effectively are channel 1 and 2, and both have CC number 74, which happens to be the default cutoff frequency CC parameter. But of course, both apps, you are able to customize that. And so now making sure that background mode is selected here, which is a default setting. Let's first demonstrate the Model 15. So if I jump in over here, I can just turn on the arpeggiator and make that loop. And if I go to Ribbon, now I can control the cutoff frequency here and have that looping. And now if I switch back to the Model 15, you can see that the cutoff frequency is being changed, and you can see that ribbon is still looping in the background. And of course, we can add some looping here for the Arturia. All right, so now I've got a Eurorack setup going here, and I want to show you how you can use Ribbon to enhance your Eurorack patch. So you can think of Ribbon effectively like adding 8 hand-drawn LFOs to your modular. So obviously you need some kind of MIDI to CV converter here because Ribbon is a digital device running on an iPad. So I'm using the Poly-N Poly, and I'm going to do a completely separate video on that, so check that out if you want to learn more about this module. But effectively what's cool about this module is that one, it's got USB connection on it, so I can connect it directly to the iPad via the camera connection kit. And the other thing is that it has 8 different CC outputs, which happen to map exactly to the 8 ribbons we have here. So they're really like a perfect match. So once you have them hooked up via USB, the thing you want to do is go again to your MIDI settings, and then you'll see Poly appear here in the settings. Once that's done, you're good to go. All right, so I've built up a little patch here, and I have 5 different ribbons or 5 different modulation destinations here. I have 2 on the green ones for the filter. We have cutoff and resonance, and I'm using the 2040 filter for that. Then I have a pulse width modulation control, and that's for the Z3000 here. And then at the bottom, I have 2 STS parameters, which is this sampler here. I have the start position of the sample, and then which sample is being played I can control with the ribbon here. So here you can see my cutoff control is just static hand controlled. And this is useful too if you just want to have a little touch controller next to your modular that you can quickly patch things in and out of. But again, the power of the ribbon is the ability to kind of loop and record your gestures. So you can go into settings here and just enable looping on a per ribbon basis. This time I've enabled it just for the cutoff frequency. So now I can just record a little gesture. And as soon as I let go, it's going to start repeating that. And of course, it's multi-touch, so you can... So yeah, check it out. Let me know what you think. I have a few different ideas for further iterations and kind of slight improvements. I'm not going to add anything too drastic or make any kind of big changes. I have a bunch of other apps that I want to experiment with and start playing around with, some more kind of sequencer based. Again, thanks a lot for checking this out. Check it out. I'll put a link in the description for the App Store, and I'll see you guys in the next one.